It's recording now, Sue.
Everyone? Lovely to see you guys. So, advertised this lesson workshop. Someone needs to mute. Is there someone who hasn't muted? It's okay. Good. Done. It's the attention bubble. And really, the attention bubble is what we're doing every time we do yoga, I think. It's a generalization in a sense. So I thought the way we'd shape this session would be to start with quite a brief, repeatable meditation. And it's something that I think is in and of itself, quite apart from yoga, the ability to sit down and be able within a few minutes to get yourself into a meditative state and enjoy that and get the benefit of that, even fairly briefly. So this one is going to be about 20 minutes altogether once we start. That is in and of itself treasure, something that you will have, you gain in life. The fear of sitting down to meditation, not being able to, is, I think, what stops many of us from even trying often. So I offer this as a system for a little 20-minute meditation that you can do. Now, you can do this at the end of sessions, you can do this at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day when you've got time. But today, I want to start the session in the state of meditation as well. So double benefit here. Okay, so ready to go? I'm using a chair. Obviously, you can sit on the floor. As long as you're comfortable. I don't want there to be any concern about body pain. I want this to be comfortable. It works much better when the body doesn't get in the way. And yet, of course, as always, we start with the body. So starting now. Focusing on your sit bones. So where the weight is most powerful, where you notice it, where the sensation is most intense, at underneath of the pelvis, top of the legs. And you've got two sides, you've got left and right. So make them exactly the same. And I don't mean nearly or approximately the same, I mean exactly the same intensity of weight on the left side and the right side. Be completely absorbed in getting that accurate. And when you feel you've achieved that, just float your head as you breathe out. Let those two sensations become heavier. Drop the weight down, drop the energy down to the spine, down to the sit bones, and out into the ground or floor or chair. Down, 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 down. And as the sit bones get heavier, the head gets lighter. And release, consciously, if you haven't already released the forehead, any tension in the inside of the forehead, the jaws, lips, sides of the neck, top of the shoulders. Just think of letting those muscle groups release as you breathe out, always. Try not to become agitated as you breathe in, but don't, And don't do a big inhalation, let the inhalation start calm. And with the next breath, one more time, are you exactly the same left and right? That's the sit bones. And is the head floating? Now, you can stop there. You don't have to then go through the rest of the body releasing the different groups, because what we're going to do next, the groups will relax automatically. But I do just want to call out the buttock muscles. Massive, powerful buttock muscles right down in the center of the pelvis. The next exhalation, release both buttocks as much as you can, both buttocks as much as you can. The sit bones even, the head floating, and nothing going on in either buttock muscle. And to me, that has quite a soothing effect on the whole of the rest of the body, just that act of releasing the buttock muscles. And it has to happen with a conscious exhalation. This is a dance to the breath, but most of the action, the flourishes, the releasing takes place with the exhalation, the dropping. Oh. And the head floats. So that's first section. Just even sitting, and the head's got to be exactly in the middle, obviously, and to be going up, empty neck feeling, and the beginning of quietness with empty buttocks. Now, keeping the lips lightly shut. If you don't know what to do with the tongue, by the way, rest it on the palate, lightly. And watch the breath come in through both nostrils and feel, watch yourself feeling. That isn't too bizarre a way of putting it. Watch yourself feeling the sensation on the inside of the nostrils, the cool of the inhalation. And then notice then also, as you exhale, not only that the air is warmer in the nostrils, but once again, both sit bones drop evenly and the head floats. Using the exhalation to really maintain that, renew that sensation. So that's step 2. Step 3 is a very simple, now this is actually a pranayama, a breathing exercise, but it's very adaptable. It's adaptable to you and your breathing capacity. So I'm going to do the 3-5-4. It's actually my own adaptation of another one, but 3-5-4, if you think of it that way. So breathe in to the count of 3. So it's your count of 3, but I'll do an out loud one just as for example, for 2 or 3 breaths, and then I'll shut up and let you continue in your head. In, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5, 4. And because I've got 10 fingers, I do 10 of these. So we've done 3. Let's call this next one 4. And after each breath, I move the slightest pressure of my finger to the next one along to keep count up to 10 of these. 3, in for 3, hold or stop for 5, and releasing for 4. Don't let my voice disturb you as you continue to concentrate on your 3-5-4. As you breathe in, you don't become agitated on the 3. As you hold, the head continues to float as the shoulders continue to drop. Everything's very calm and easy. And you breathe out for 4, not in too much of a rush. You don't have to breathe out for the whole of 4. Sometimes there's a slight pause. You know, whatever happens with you, you can speed it up or obviously slow it down. But you try and keep the count consistent. When you've finished, whenever it is, don't rush. But whenever you do finish, just stay present and continue to watch the breath. But this time, instead of you imposing any length or pattern on the breath, you take more of a back seat, and it's a witnessing to see what your breath now does when it is completely in charge. And if you find your attention drifts off while you're doing this, and it probably will at some point, to most of us, more than once, you have to catch yourself drifting. That's the first, that's it really, that's the big one. Catch yourself at it. And just, acknowledge, okay, let it go. Let whatever the thought was, just let it go. And come back to either 2 sit bones as you breathe out. Are they even? Head floating, shoulders empty, buttocks empty. Watching the next breath come in without it bothering you. And with the exhalation, there's always the opportunity to renew your sitting. And time is a part of this. Over time, as you continue to bring yourself back to here, where you're sitting right now, you notice the body becoming quieter. Often the breath becomes shallower. It quite naturally becomes a state of extreme awakeness in a deeply passive body. So it's not that you're trying not to notice sounds around you. There will be sounds around you. You're part of the world, this wonderful world. So enjoy the feel of the air on the skin as well as in the nostrils. Any sounds inside the building, outside the building. birds, the quietness, whatever, the smells. Become awake to your sensations. And of course, some people find it helpful to come back to the 3-5-4 breath. If you find that your attention keeps wandering, then come back to that breath, use it. It's a tool. you've been that's 20 minutes. And if you don't have to move or do anything right now, and not to let my voice disturb your comfort, your zone. But notice how the body feels now. It wasn't necessary to go around releasing this, letting go of that, because the body settles, given the opportunity. And it's a state of awakeness, which is at the same time very calm. And is a state that we seek when we do, well, in life really, calm awareness. I'd like it. And it's fundamentally achieved by witnessing rather than taking part, watching yourself somehow, finding a way to kind of the feeling of stepping out of oneself in order to look at oneself, to see that from a third point of view somehow what we're up to. And that third person, that outside person, is not an emotional being. You know, that's rational, that's looking, observing. That's the role of a witness. And when you're ready, let your eyelids gently open. And feel the head still being light and the sit bones still being equal and heavy. It seems a shame to move at this point, so I think we won't. Let's just do a round of Kapalabhati or two, but let's keep it very comfortable. Now, I don't want to impose upon you too much today. I'd really rather you followed your own instincts. So I'm not going to say how many Kapalabhati, whether they should be small or large, you know. The point is, does anyone wiggle a finger if you're not absolutely clear what I mean about Kapalabhati? Okay. So, sometimes called the fire breath. I'll just explain how you do it. First of all, I'll do a few, then I'll explain what I'm doing. Tell me. So what I'm doing, I'm sorry, I did that much too fast. Let's just do one. Let's all just do one. So what you're doing is, first of all, to feel what you're doing, I've got my thumb on my tummy button and the hands on the food baby underneath. And as you breathe out, and what you do is you pretend there's a candle under your nose with a flame, and you want to blow it out through your nostrils, but you don't want that air to come from your throat. You want the air to come from your little finger. somewhere down there, as low as you can get the air from. You blow the candle out from beneath your navel. And doesn't have to be a sharp breath. Can be. Or it can be a slightly longer one. It tends to be quite a forceful kind of a breath, but it's coming from as low as you can make it. That actually isn't the difficult bit. The tricky bit is that when you do a few, what do you do about the in-breath? Well, you don't do anything about the in-breath. That's the thing that a facility that you learn. You let the tummy pop out again underneath your hand after you breathe out. And as the tummy comes out, some breath will flow in. You don't have to do the inhalation. So let's do individuals. Let's all do individuals. It's good practice for everybody, actually. Let's do 10, one at a time. When you're ready. Your tummy button is being pulled back sharply. And popping out again. It's actually working the deep abdominal muscles. When you're not used to doing this, if you do a fair session on Kapalabhati, you can feel it in your tummy muscles, certainly the next day. Doesn't do any harm. Okay, so Anne, are you comfortable now with that? Great. Okay. So let's all just do let's do a 2-minute session of Kapalabhati. Now, that means you have breaks. You do a few, and then you breathe in normally, in and out, maybe a couple of times, and do another few. Do whatever pace you like, you decide. Let's finish off whatever you're doing. Oh, it's hard work. It's also, the other thing that Kapalabhati does is it stirs up the system a bit, so we're ready to. Yeah, let's stand up, actually. Might come back to using a chair. Out the room. at the feet, stretch them, open the toes is what I mean. Open the toes, stretch the toes. And I think use the connection between the hands and the feet to do that. So if you open your little finger and your thumb at the same time as you keep your big toe on the floor and stretch your little toes out, try and create space between your toes. Can you put the little toes down and keep the 3 middle toes in the air? Give them a little wiggle. Some of us, been playing with this stuff for a few years. Okay, let them all go. It's not a lovely feeling, is it? But open the feet, give them a stretch, align them accurately. So the heel beneath the hip bones. So generally that's closer than people think. And then when you're comfortable with the alignment of the feet, stop looking at them, look straight ahead, find something that you can rest your eyes on that's exactly the same height, ideally, as the center of your eye. You're looking from the back of your eye, back of your head, really. And then use the messages you're getting from the soles of your feet only. So you're not looking at your feet, but you're involved with what the soles of your feet are telling you. So the soles of your feet are telling you how your body is arranged. Do you have more weight on the heels or more weight on the toes or balls of the feet? Do you have more weight on the left or on the right? Do you have different intensity? Do you have an area which is dominant? So see, as we did with sitting, if you can even this out so that you have exactly the same amount of weight on both heels. Let's start with both heels. Exactly the same amount of weight on both heels. Exactly the same amount of weight on both heels. As if it's like when you look through the binoculars and you've got 2 pictures and then the 2 pictures come together into one. And it's that feeling when both heels are exactly the same. It's one feeling. It feels like one heel. And then keeping your one heel, lean slightly towards the base of the toes, the balls of the feet, without losing the heels, until you feel you've almost got too much weight on the toes, and then come back a bit and find the position which is exactly the same, front to back, north to south, toes to heel. By which I mean you have the same intensity of sensation on the balls of both feet, all your toes, and all your heels, all 2 of your heels. Watching yourself, coming back to this witnessing yourself as you breathe out, with the idea of the breath going down through the spine, down through soft buttocks, gathering momentum, faster and faster. Down through the legs, out through the feet, out through the heels, into the ground. Whoa, deep, 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 deep into the ground. Under you, as if the breath actually burrows down, 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 down. And watch for the end of that breath. There is a moment when the exhalation ends. Just notice that. And at that point, maybe there's a moment's gap. Witness yourself, watch yourself, receiving as the inhalation simply arrives. You don't have to do anything. You can be completely passive and watch the inhalation arrive. All sorts of things happen with the inhalation. I mean, as the trouble is, and I'm working with a lot of old hands here, the more years we do this, the more we spot, the more stuff we know is going on, we can feel is going on. So as the inhalation comes in, try and dampen the agitation that comes with it, the muscular and the nervous system agitation that comes, the readiness, if you like. I don't necessarily, it's not a bad thing, it's just what happens. So intercept the body's natural girding normally accompanies the inhalation. Intercept that. Just keep calm, keep the body calm. So this is now a standing meditation. As you breathe out, watch the breath go down the spine, through empty buttocks, down through the legs. Not dynamic, not emptying the lung. Now, can you lift up the top of the right wrist as if there was a puppet master, and it just lifts up that right wrist until the right arm comes up to about shoulder height. No higher. If you've got shoulder injury, then obviously don't try and push that. Try and keep the elbow not locked, but not bent. And see if you can keep the neck quiet and the jaws soft and the forehead out of it and the lips quiet, ready for your close-up portrait. And with the next exhalation, down through the spine, down through both heels, both balls of both feet. Let the other arm, the left arm, come up also. You really don't want to become higher than your shoulder, because that involves different muscles. And now just release the neck. And see if you can imagine cushions floating under the arms, so that as you breathe out, you're able to some degree to release tension in the arms, even while holding them there. Make sure the jaws aren't involved, the buttocks are not tight, the forehead is empty. Okay, so just if your shoulders want to play with this, you can just stay here or let them go whenever you need to. The next step is to turn them, and we're going to bring them, as we exhale slowly, as if we're moving through viscous gel, softly move the arms above our head with the palms facing each other. Stretch. As long as the shoulders allow. And sometimes you can sort of, if it's a rotator cuff problem, you might want to bend the elbow to get it up there, but sometimes it's right not to do it. Turn the hand, interlock the fingers, turn the hands, and now. And release. And as you release, melty, melty, melt, melt. Okay. Start. So we've got big feet. Don't want to disturb that, but I want the knees to bend now, because we're going to start moving the spine, but watching ourselves doing it. So the easiest way I can describe this is to say that you rotate the shoulders, the top of the shoulders, as if you've got this puppet master again. So the movement comes from, where the puppet master strings would be. And the shoulders, whichever way, I move mine, I don't know how you call it, front to back, I suppose. But it doesn't matter if yours go the other way around, I don't think at all. And as the shoulders go back, the hips go forward. So don't do this too fast to start with, at least, or really at all. And then as you exhale, the shoulders go forward and the hips go back. I'm going to go sideways to make that more plain. As you exhale, and you bring the shoulders back, the heels drop. So just stay there. Exhale, pelvic floor, engage the pelvic floor, the heels drop, engage the pelvic floor, and bring the elbows slightly together, not completely, just gently, working like billiard with the pelvic floor, so that the chest opens from the pelvic floor. Well done. Shake. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing in the other direction. You've already warmed this up. As you exhale, the tail goes out, heels drop, pelvic floor. Now this time, the head goes down. Imagine you've grown antlers and a tail, and your antlers and your tail are keen to get together under your legs. So opening the top of the spine, and this time you bring the elbows together in front of you. That's it, really working with the pelvic floor. And come up. We're going to do both of those one more time. So we're opening the front of the spine, and then we're opening the back of the spine. Okay, that's all we're doing. And in both cases, we're using the pelvic floor to help bring all the abdominal tissue in towards the spine to protect the lower back, particularly in the back bend. It's important. So as you exhale and you bring the shoulders back and the pubic bone forward, you let your tail go forward and nestle in spongy buttocks. Remember that one, the spongy buttocks? And then as you exhale, the elbows come back towards each other if you want to make this even bigger. But basically what you're trying to do is open the chest from the pelvic floor safely. Okay, come out of that. Have a little rest and a little shake around. Now we may have slightly compacted the lower back there. Not too much, I hope. Whatever we did, we're now going to completely open. The focus is on opening the lumbar vertebrae. So think about that. All you're really trying to do is open here. But in order to open there, you get the added benefit of opening the thoracic spine, because you won't reach the lumbar without getting to the thoracic first. So, but in practice, it's exactly the same thing. We're opening out the back of our back from the pelvic floor. So you use an exhalation, watch yourself, witness yourself as you breathe out, breathe out, breathe out. It's a full exhalation, You breathe out completely. And as you breathe out, the head goes down, the elbows go in, and you watch the discs at the back of your spine separate from the inside. When I say watch, I mean you feel, you sense, you want and work from your pelvic floor. It's the most effective thing you can do. Suck it up, as they say, and then come out of it. Okay. Are people's feet hurting? Are you okay standing for a bit more? Okay, so come back to standing. Tadasana, mountain pose. I don't really think of these as poses anymore, you know. I think the poses are another tool, you know, they're useful. But standing doesn't always have to be Tadasana. However, this time it is. And that means straight legs, exactly the same amount of weight, and see if you can just do it, you know, practice this in detail. Left and right, front and back, exactly the same. Head floating, empty, back of the neck, quiet, shoulders. Watch yourself become quieter more quickly this time. So as you breathe out, the whole of the inside of the skin goes, oh, the body goes, oh, okay then. You know, we're not bothered. Be okay, be calm, but somehow wide awake, exactly as when we were sitting. And then let the left ear drift towards, never going to reach, so this is directional only, in the direction of the shoulder, left ear towards its own shoulder. So really what we're doing is we're gently, through viscous gel, gently, 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 slowly, slowly, slowly. Now we're dealing with a heavy object, that's our heads. So brainy and full of incredibly useful stuff. It's a big weight for the poor neck to carry. So reach the point of the minimum boundary. This is a concept that I find very useful, really. The minimum boundary. The point where you feel the stretch, at the point where you feel that you might, the bite, the sensation where the top of the neck, the right hand side of the neck meets the shoulder. That's to me quite clearly where the sensation is. And this is now a conversation you're having with yourself. As you breathe out, you have the opportunity to release the head a bit more, but maybe you shouldn't, and maybe you don't want to, or maybe you do just a bit. So what we're actually all doing is we're eking out, we're deciding how much we're prepared to, we feel safe to let the weight of the head go a bit further with the exhalation. And it isn't that I'm saying the further you go, the better. It's just that it's being in charge, it's you being in charge. Now you can come out of that, or I'm going to stay and lift up the right arm gently to the ceiling, let the middle finger of the right arm. So now the neck isn't going any further. I'm now adding a bit of a stretch to the right ribs. And now turn the hand and go over with the hand and open up the ribs on that side of the body. And also that side of the spine. Keep the knees soft. Don't try and stretch. Try and let the other shoulder go if you can. Okay, let the arm come back. Keep the knees bent, come out of it gently and carefully. Carefully, softly, slowly. So there were mainly two separate things going on there. The first of all was the neck stretch. And the second one was the side stretch. Completely separate things. You do the neck stretch first to get it out of the way. When you add the side stretch, you're not trying to stretch the neck any further. The neck becomes passive at that point. Emphasize that. So now, ready for your close-up? Is it Mr. Bernal or I don't know? That's really not what I mean to say. What I really mean to say is release the muscles in the face, same as you would any other place in the body. Become calm in the tummy, the buttocks, the jaws. Where else have you got? What places do you have where you have little pressure hoards of tension? Notice it, let it go, and when you're ready, gently releasing the other ear to its shoulder, gently, and looking for your minimum boundary. So for me, at first, nothing much happens. It's just the sensation of releasing the head. And then all of a sudden, I feel it on the other neck. And at that point, you go, there's a natural body protection that steps in and goes, careful, watch it, wait. And that's good, that's fine, that's, but you can override it gently if you want to. I mean, without harm. If as you breathe out, during the second half of the exhalation, you decide to let the head be a bit heavier, that stretch is increased. As long as the shoulders fit, you can let then that arm, the free arm, come up to the ceiling, middle finger reaching up, 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 up. Relaxing the other arm. Then turn the hand. As long as the shoulder's playing. You can do this without the shoulder. If your shoulder's a problem, you can keep the arm behind your back and still bend the knees and go further. So it is it's just the arm is a very powerful lever with the arm here. Okay, come out of it gently, 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 gently. Doing damage as you come out. Okay, let's I think we all my body wants to do this thing next, which is come back standing, just standing meditation. That's what I prefer to think of it as today. Standing meditation. You're present, 100% present, wide awake with the senses. You can feel everything with great sensitivity, but actually a sense of detachment and calmness. You can feel whether your weight is even left and right, front and back. Whether you notice where the tension is without being you know, making a value judgment about it, you know. Here's what it is. Gently drop the head. Gently let the head drop and drop and drop. And keep letting the head ooze down. Letting gravity do the work. So you're not doing it, but you're not resisting it. Try and let the arms drop out of the shoulders. Don't keep the arms in full active mode if you're able to turn them off. Don't worry about what happens to the hips. Don't try and control this from the outside. Whatever it looks like from the outside, sod it, you know. Come ooze. Gently, gently, gently. Now, we will all come to our natural boundary. And it's never helpful in any class, and this is where Zoom is good, really, I think, because the comparison is less in your face. We're not even comparing ourselves to the last time we did yoga, you know. You just ooze until you hit your minimum boundary, and you notice that that's where the sensation of stretch is starting. Now, keep calm, carry on, keep calm and witness. You know, for example, for me, I witnessed a patch of tension in the middle of my back, really, a bit lower than my thoracic, but above the lumbar. And I just noticed that there was a whole lump there that was holding. And the act of noticing it was enough for just to release it. It wasn't a difficult thing to release, but it wouldn't have released if I hadn't noticed it. That's my example. That's not going to be your example. I can't get into your body. So you drop forward, and obviously you come up. You can come up and come down again. I tend to hold these things a bit longer than most people. And do what you want to do with the hands. Again, you can rest them on the front of the calves. I don't mind that. You can rest them on the lower back. You can hold a book, an imaginary book. This is John Sturck's way of helping you to release your shoulders if you want to try it momentarily. You have your little fingers touching as if they are a book that you're reading just about 4 or 5 inches in front of your eyes, so you know much you can read a book like that. And then you release the shoulders and release the arms and release between the shoulder blades and release around the shoulder blades. Or you can just drop the arms. All sorts of things, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to have 2 or 3 breaths here. Come up with when you're ready if you need to before. But 2 or 3 breaths here, just meditating on this. And what I mean by that is being completely present, constantly witnessing what's going on. Am I even left and right? As the inhalation comes in, I'm not becoming agitated. As the exhalation soothes muscles, I might find I'm given a bit of freedom from sensation, or a bit more freedom of movement, or whatever you want to do with it. Okay, good. Bend the knees. And come up halfway so that you're doing a sort of a hanging forward thing with bent knees and arms hanging forward. And now exhale, and as you exhale, drop the heels down and lift the pelvis up. Drop the heels down, lift the pelvis up. Drop the heels down, lift the pelvis up. And come to a lovely open. Chair, hand in. We're just going to leave on that. Actually, you can use a wall if it's easier. Just going to stand on one foot and release the other one. And swing the other one around and see if you can release the buttock of the leg that you're not standing on. And then bend it up and hold either the trouser or the foot. Or if you've got a strap, you could use that. Okay. See how much you can undo the panic in the groin of the bent leg. And to me, the access to that, the way of doing that is to release the left buttock, release the buttock of the bent leg, release the buttock of the bent leg, soften. The standing leg, by the way, there's no balance here, we're holding on. And the standing leg can be straight or bent, whatever you're most comfortable with. We're balancing on the leg, not next to the chair. Okay, let's come out of that. So I should have talked about how as you put the weight down under the whole of the sole of the standing foot, you can feel the toes and the heels. And the bigger the base, the more solid that sensation. And I think it helps to start with a straight leg, not necessarily locked, but I think it helps to start with a reliability of a kind of a pillar that you're standing on. Because the first thing, the reason I'm doing this bit is partly to soften the buttock on that side, but it's also to partly release in that groin, so that by the time you bring this leg up. Now, I should talk about why we're doing this. It's to stretch the muscles on the front of the bent leg. That's what this is about. It's just a quad stretch. And like all stretches, you want to take away the resistance. When I started, it was at the Iyengar Institute, the way that of working was to push. At the end of an exhalation, when you were soft, the teacher would come around and push you to go further. It worked, terrible pain the next day, but it. And then the Scaraveli insight, the excitement that I got around Scaraveli, was this understanding that you don't have to push through the pain. You can release and give yourself the range. So if you release the buttock, you'll find that you're able to go a bit further without pushing through pain. That makes sense. Now, I want to do each side again, and I'm going to try and do this without a chair, which is a different thing. It's a balance. But if that's not going to happen for you, and that's not right for you today, please use the chair and just do it again. It's a really good thing to do these things twice. If you're doing it as the balance, of course, the focus changes. You really have to establish your standing leg. Come long. And when you're ready, hold trouser or foot or strap. And if you're feeling fairly solid, you can hold the foot with both hands, and that will help you open and then breathe down through the heel, exhale pelvic floor up, and the chest opens from the pelvic floor. It's really quite nice feeling out of that. Challenge here or there. 2. So spend the time establishing your standing foot. Make sure the jaws are released and the forehead's empty, and the face is nice and soft. When you're ready, in your own time, in your own way, hold whatever you're going to. And stay as a witness. Stay watching yourself doing this. pelvic floor, chest opens. Well done. Okay. I just want to do the triangle to side bend stretch that I've been doing. And so some of you won't have seen this, some of you will be bored of it. Sorry. I now think in my old age that there's been too much emphasis on triangles, and that people don't do triangle quite the same way, and there's different emphasis, and the different teachers I've had have taught it in different ways. And that what a lot of people actually want to do, and what half the schools, you know, the Ashtanga kind of schools think they're doing when they're doing a triangle, is they think they're doing a side stretch. So I now do a sort of a mixture of both in my practice. So I'll start with an Iyengar-ish. You know what Iyengar size triangle is? To me, that's like a meter-ish and a bit, you know, around a meter. Depends how long your legs are, obviously. Now, the whole thing about a triangle, yes, better, Anne, thank you, is that it's about this back hip. So remember the mantra for triangle and indeed for the side stretch is going to be back heel, back heel, back heel, breathe down through the spine, back out through the strong back leg, back heel, back heel. Establish that back heel, focus on that back heel, make that back heel work. And then you turn the hip of the back heel towards its back heel. So the back heel was really kind of the center in a way of this pose, weirdly, at least to start with. The trouble with doing that, of course, is that it pulls the knees out of bonk with the feet, and the knees need to be facing their own feet for safety reasons. So you have to rotate like your thighs are a mangle outwards. You rotate the knees around towards their own little toes. And now you're ready to do triangle. And the thing about a triangle that differentiates it from the side stretch is that in a triangle, the back hip doesn't move. So I think of the back hip now as being like the center of a Catherine wheel. We're spinning exactly. So the arms come out, fingers to the edges of the room, middle fingers are actually active in this one. Exhale, you think back heel, back heel, back heel, you come forward a little bit. Now keeping remember your center of your circle is your back hip. You rotate on the back circle, means you're not going to go down your leg. You simply rotate. And if you keep doing this with the upper arm open, you're going to open those upper ribs, which is, I think, actually what the triangle gives us that the side bend doesn't, okay? So this to me is the essence of triangle. It's not going down really hardly at all. To turn this into a side bend now, you just, and you might not want to, you can bend the knee if it's all too much for you, but basically you slide your front leg down, front arm down the front leg, meow, and you'll reach a natural barrier. Okay, and that barrier is going to be much higher on some people and much lower on others. Doesn't matter where your side stretch goes to. And this is a side stretch. And keep rotating your knees to their own little toes. Couple of breaths. Now, hold on. Rosie, your arm can go up a bit more. Laura, I think your arm's gone up a tad too far. That's perfect. That's perfect, Izzy, as well. Lovely, lovely. Very good. Nice, Jo. Okay, good. Come on. Right, easy, 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 easy. Okay. Now, knowing what we're going to do, see if we can do it in a slightly more meditative mood. Watching yourself. I'm just giving myself this, I always do this, as many of you know, give myself a little extra balance. Oh, treat, you know, buy one, get a little balance free at the beginning of this kind of thing. And then stretch, organize your feet accurately into triangles. So your back foot's at 45 degrees. And if you were to draw a line from your front heel, it would hit the instep of your back foot. Come and stand with a straight spine. I can't see because of the angle of the camera with some of you, but a common thing is to lean slightly forward. I do it all the time. So I have to keep on trying to remind my spine to be above, you know, straight. Rotate the knees to their own little toes. Let the thighs mangle outwards, and then, so the legs are working. Hands out, back heel, back heel. So I'm breathing, I feel like I'm breathing down through the spine, down through the back leg, and out through the back heel in particular. And there's a strong connection between the back heel and the floor. Come forward a little, just a teeny little bit. And then you can drop the front arm if you want to. Keep the back hip exactly, so concentrate on a G clamp in space, holding your back hip where it is, so that the arm comes up, but that hip does not move at all, you see. And the upper ribs open. Breath or two like that. Try not to be tense. Watch yourself, witness yourself. And as you breathe out, and then slide when you're ready, if you want to. This is an added extra. This is not a part of everyone's daily practice. You slide down the leg as far until you reach your minimum boundary, which is going to, it's the same place for us all actually. We're all, it looks different, but we're working in the same place. Good. Lovely. Let's go on our knees. Let's getting down to the ground. So the middle finger's facing forward. The hands big, like you want big feet, you want big hands. So if the middle fingers are facing forward and then you stretch the other fingers out around them, and then come forward with your knee so that you can, your shoulders are over your hands. And see if you can drop the weight down through. Okay. Now we're just going to do a hand exercise. I'll start with the left one closest to camera. So you lift the palm off and you have the 3 fingertips on the ground, and then you roll the fingers down so that the palm stays off and the thumb stays off the ground, and just the 4 fingers go onto the ground. And then release the tension in the rest of the body, shake it out. Try the other hand. 3, you start with 3 and then 4 fingers roll down, and you keep the palm up and the thumb up. And then come back to both newly stretched out hands, fingers. And have the same amount of weight onto both knees and both hands, and the knees are under the hips and the heels of the hands are under the shoulders. Now, this is a breathing exercise. Just continue to breathe out until you have no more air left inside the body at all. Breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out. And let the body respond. So as you continue to breathe out, if the spine moves, let it. And then as you breathe in, relax. And then this time, the next time you breathe out completely, what actually happens is, as we breathe out, normally we breathe out about half-ish way, and then we stop and start to breathe in. So this is overriding that natural sequence. And instead of allowing yourself to breathe in, you keep breathing out until you feel the tail comes forward and you let the head go down. And we're in fact opening the back of the spine exactly as we did when we were standing. As you breathe in, soften the arms, let the head come up. And then with the next, so this is an every exhalation move. Every time you breathe out, you bring the head down and the tail forward. And you open the vertebrae on the back of the spine. You're using the pelvic floor, obviously, to do so. So as you breathe out, in the second half of the exhalation, let the pelvic floor come up with, that's the two diaphragms. The pelvic floor is a little diaphragm. The diaphragm is a big diaphragm, and they move together like a windsock with a big and a little end. And as you breathe out, the abdominal muscles get snuggled in towards and around the spine. And the outcome is that the vertebrae are forced to open. So just do one more of these, but take your time. It's a full exhalation, a full exhalation, a full exhalation, a full exhalation. And then come and sit on your knees. Kneel if you can, just for a moment, because we don't. I don't anyway. Oi, oi, oi. Should say that, should I? Okay, so now I want to do exactly what we've just done, but this time in a shape that you're going to recognise. So it's slightly my version of actually what used to be called a cobra. Okay. So my version is that the hands are further forward than they would normally be, and also wider. You've got a bigger gap, so that the arms are out of the way. So I'll just do one. I'll tuck my top in so you get some view. Something happening, I hope. So exhale in the normal way, and then you let the weight come onto the hands as you continue to exhale, continue to exhale, continue to exhale. The buttocks wrap themselves around the tail, the shoulders go back. You don't have to go all the way down to the ground, obviously. You go, lots of people won't. Doesn't matter. It's not about end gaming. It's very much like what we've been doing all the time, actually, today, which is opening the chest and the pelvic floor. So I'll just talk you through it, the next one, as we do it together. Come on to back your knees with your hands further forward and wider. Drop the knees. Make sure that they become calm. So let's not rush into this. Just take a moment to face inside of the skin, between the shoulder blades, the jaws, wherever you've got a place which is holding tension, let that go, become calmer. Okay. Now we're going to do a full exhalation. So breathe in, and when you're ready, as you breathe out, start to let the weight drop on towards your hands and engage your pelvic floor, and let your front of your pelvis drop through the huge space towards the mat, but with the pelvic floor working like bilio. So at the end of the exhalation, or towards the end of the exhalation, is the end of your movement. And then as you breathe in, you come out. Have a rest for a breath, because we're going to do another full exhalation, cobra coming up. One more. I'm going to see if I can turn that noise off. As you breathe out, as you breathe out. So if you don't do a full cobra, that's fine. You can still come forward, pelvic floor working like mad. Chest opening. Okay. That's it. Yes. Yeah. Lovely. Beautiful, Rosie. Smashing. Okay, let's come back out of that and do a frog pose. Now, what I mean by that is toes together, knees wide. You can vary this. You can have them a bit closer, a bit wider. This is very much up to our, we've all got different bodies we're working inside today. And then just let the weight come down onto the elbows, just the forearms on the floor. And make sure that you're as calm as you can be, that you've overridden the tension in the front of the feet, in the buttocks, in the thighs. And when you're ready, come let the head go either onto the ground or onto your arms or onto a cushion in front of you. I want you to be comfortable. So the hands and arms aren't working. There is a version of frog where the arms are active. And pushing. And I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in using this position to lengthen the spine. I'm interested in using this position to help us bring ourselves back into a proper meditative state, deeply present, calm awareness, calm awakeness. Aware of what's wide awake to what's going on in our bodies. So where is this stretch now? And where the body has come out in sympathy. So, for me, to answer those questions, well, the stretch is in the groins. But also, for me, the front of one ankle and the other foot. And where have I come out in sympathy? Well, my arms are for some reason not completely resting, particularly the right arm. Now, that isn't necessarily your answer to those questions. So to come back to this difference between Iyengar and kind of the Scaravelli idea that I follow, this is a great example. There is this stretch going on in the groins. And I can grit my teeth and go through it. But more powerful is to persuade those deep muscles to let go a bit, to calm down a bit, to undo, to offer less resistance. And then I get the same or better results. But through no pain, through the absence of resistance. So what I'm talking about is focusing on the groins, and as you breathe out, deciding to soften the muscles around the stretch. Not going to bother with the stretch, that's there, but all the muscles around the stretch, in the buttocks, at the top of the inside of the legs, let all that calm down, calm down, calm down. And it does. It's really remarkable. Marvelous stuff. And of course, we're using the ground. We're completely trusting the ground. We're letting every muscle release because we know that the ground has got us safely. Let's just acknowledge that for a moment. Oh. Okay. Let's go. Now, I just want to do a few little dogs. Just going to start with a little puppy. Okay. The puppy is small and playful, doesn't stay still. So just come up into a comfortable, in fact, let's start with coming up in the normal way with the big hands, and as you exhale, lengthen the spine as far away, the tail as far away from the middle fingers as you can. You can give yourself a boxing glove. Come up onto your tiptoes. Don't worry about the heels at all. Right up onto your tiptoes, and as you exhale, the pelvic floor operates, and the boxing glove or some support settles into your tummy. So your tummy is supported from underneath. And then you can try, just out of experimental reasons, to release one heel down, not the other one. And then exhale and stop to the other heel. So I think I've called this walking the dog. One side with one exhalation. As the left heel goes down, you feel the weight go down to the right hand. Inhale, don't hold it, swap. Exhale, just keep moving. The right heel goes down and the left hand seems to take the back. So just one more of those each side. And the next rest we're going to do is with the toes tucked under. So this is another, as long as you don't get cramp. This is an extreme thing to do, I think, to sit on the toes, to kneel on tucked under toes, but I know some of you can do this, like to do this kind of thing. And then come into a forward child's pose. Now, if the toes tucked under is bothering you too much, then just let go of the toes and do an ordinary child's pose. And if that's not comfortable, do a frog pose. So your version of a rest. But I'm keeping the toes tucked under because I just want to look at this business of working, having a sensation to work with. You know, if yoga is a moving meditation, then the difficulty, as with sitting yoga, sitting meditation rather, is keeping yourself present. And particularly when we make all these shapes over the years, you know, we end up going through motions. So the main difficulty is keeping yourself present. And this is another John Surt thing, having a bit of tension somewhere to work with is really an easy way. It's a beginner's tool, really. So having the toes tucked under and having to stay calm in the shoulder blades and the jaws and the throat and the forehead, the tummy, and not let it affect the breathing, that is a great help to keeping you present. And it's also teaching us what yoga teaches us, which is, you know, how to be in charge of our own bodies, or our own body's response to life, as I like to put it. Okay, let's come out of that. Enough toe torture. And of course, the benefit, if you call it a benefit, is that your toes get to bend that way. Why is that a benefit? I don't know. Let's do another dog. This time, I want to do a Kapalabhati dog because we've done Kapalabhati. So see how you go with this if you've not done it before. It's quite fun, but it's, you know, just a bit of fun. You can just do an ordinary dog. So I'm going to do a comfortable distance dog. I'm not going to do a big distance dog. I'm going to do a less. And I start with big hands, middle finger facing forward, other fingers open, heels off the ground, knees bent. I like to keep my elbows slightly soft because otherwise I find my arm muscles get too locked. Okay, and then just become ready, center yourself here, and when you're ready, do a few Kapalabhati. Now, the first one or two don't seem to do anything. For me, it always seems to take 2 or 3 Kapalabhati to begin to feel. The slight upward pressure in the lower abdomen from the Kapalabhati that helps push the tail upwards and behind. And don't get fixated on heels, but if your heels do want to go down, of course you can play with that as well. You can do individual ones. I'm going to see if I can now I'm in my dog, I'm going to see if I can just stay calm for a few breaths. So I'll shut up to enable you to do the same. Witness yourself. Breathing. Okay. Now come onto both knees and bring the hands off and take a big step forward with your left foot. Because we're going to come into a lunge now. And stay in your calm witnessing space as you watch the back knee drop down into the ground and the front knee go forward towards the front toes and the tail drop. The tail dropping is actually a key thing. The back heel, by the way, can be whatever you want it to be, whatever's most comfortable for you, bent under or flat, whatever works for you. You want to have the shoulders ideally soft. Both hands, I think, are best. You can use a support of block if you've got one, or books or pile of whatever, cushion, but on the inside of the leg. Both hands on the inside of the front leg. Now, as the breath comes in, don't allow tension into the throat, the face, the shoulders. And as you breathe out, just let your whole organism settle, soften, etc. Not going any further. And this is, there's a release that happens gradually. So we need to have 3 or 4 breaths here. We've just done one. And with every exhalation, you're looking for a wash of softness over you. You're not going any further, but you want it to become easier, quieter. Okay. And then put the weight on the back knee and flex the front foot. So lift up the front toes towards the ceiling as you gradually, with your hands to help support you, stop falling over. The weight goes on to, you're kneeling on your back foot and your front leg is stretched, and you've got a bit of a stretch going on in the front leg, particularly the hamstring, the top of the bottom of the hamstring, the back of the knee and the top of the calf. I think it's that area where now, having noticed that, can you soften the right buttock, the buttock of the bent knee? And then can you soften the buttock of the straight leg? Can you release the skin on the inside of the body? Can you come back to this as a meditative position? So we're going to just make a couple of breaths, not going any further, just trying to become calmer and notice coolly, almost separately from yourself, notice what's going on in muscularly. And just where you're able to intercept the tension and calm your own muscles. Do it. Calm yourself. Physically calm yourself. Very good. Well done. 2. So the other foot goes a long way forward. Now it has to go further than you often think. If when you have done this, when you drop the back knee and the front knee has gone forward, you don't want the front knee to be in front of the heel. That heel wants to be at least underneath, if not slightly in front of the front knee, which means that that front leg's got to go normally further than you think. Yeah. And then you drop you're facing forward, of course. I'm just turning because of I'm looking at you. And you're dropping the back knee and dropping the tail. Release between the shoulder blades. Release inside the face. Witness yourself in this position. And notice where the pressure points are. See if you can alleviate. Notice anything that is working that doesn't need to. And use the exhalation to soothe, 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 soothe. Okay, and then we're going to flex the foot. The front foot, so we're kneeling on the back knee and straight leg, the front leg is now straight with the toes going up to the ceiling. Empty the buttocks. Do you find that emptying the buttocks helps you empty the arms? Because I do. I find if I tell my buttocks, and they agree to go along with, to soften, then the arms also soften. Yes. And you're living alongside the sensation. Yes, there is a sensation of stretch, of pull, whatever you want to call it, words, limited. There is this sensation in the back of the straight leg, but it's something you can live alongside without being upset by. Yes, it's there. You might not choose to have it permanently, but it's okay. It's not going to bother you. It's not going to help tensing your shoulders, scrunching your face. None of that is going to help. Okay, let's come out of it. Oh. Okay. I'd like just to do one sitting position. So yes, straps. I mean, I'm not actually going to use a strap, but if you want to use a strap, have a strap. Neither am I going to use a block, but if you want to have a block, use a block. I'm going to do this one sitting with legs open because I'm not sure about people's knees here. I don't want to do any risky knee stuff. So keeping the knees out of this now. I'm putting on a layer actually. It should be warmer in here by now this time of year. Mutter, mutter, mutter. Ooh. Okay. Widening the base. So basically you can sit on a cushion. If it's easier for you, if you find that you're falling back all the time, then certainly have something to lift your pelvis. But really, this is a yoga position, sitting up with a straight back and your legs wide. I agree. The bloody fleece here, it's ridiculous. Okay. So treat this as a yoga. We're not going to hold it for ages, don't worry. And, but just see, can you sit with your legs open and your spine straight as if you were, let's say, 8 months old? You were. And the same amount of weight down to both sit bones, and then turn. So keeping your head is sitting right in the middle, not tilted in any direction. The jaws are empty, the back of the neck is open, and keeping that verticality, if I may use that horrible word, rotate the spine. And I'm using my hand, actually. I'm turning towards my left. It'll look opposite to you, so you can either, but I think it's easier to follow the words in the pictures. Now, as I turn to the left, I'm focusing inwardly on my right sit bone, the underside of the right thigh, the right calf muscle, and the right heel. And I'm fundamentally burying the right side of the body, breathing down the spine, down through the right buttock, right leg, right calf, right heel, right calf, right heel, right leg, right calf. And now at a certain point, I'm releasing and I'm allowing the spine, without bending pretty much, to come straight down over the left side until I reach my minimum barrier. But focusing not on the side I'm going towards, focusing entirely on the left, the side I'm going at, the back leg, the back thigh, the back calf. You know how ivy grows roots all the way along its length? Well, exactly in that way. It's as if the back leg has grown little roots underneath, wherever the back leg, probably not including the knee, but the calf is touching the ground. There's roots, there's a strong connection, and keep growing that connection, because somehow growing that connection and enhancing the weight in the back leg seems somehow, I don't know why, to free up movement, and you will find that you go further and easier and without resistance, coming to that without resistance idea over the front leg. So what's happening is breathing in always through the nose, keeping the face soft. The jaw, that includes the jaws and the forehead, the lips. Breathing in easily, softly, gently. And then as you breathe out, feel the softness embrace the whole body, and envisage the breath traveling down towards the back leg and then out through the back leg and then seeping from the back leg into the ground. And you just drop. And if you're given more freedom of movement over your front leg, go further. If you're not, then don't. Just stay where you are. It's great. As long as you're here, as long as you're witnessing this 100%, then you are doing fantastic quality yoga. It's got nothing to do with range of movement. Range of movement gives you the possibility of doing a few extra things sometimes, though. In this position, if you can put the the arm of the leg that you're going towards, so the left arm for me, on the inside of the left leg, open up the right shoulder. Find a way to lift the arm up, the right arm up into the air. Keep dropping the right sit bone, and then the right fingers go towards the right foot. And that adds a side twist. And you look up through the arm towards the ceiling. And then witness the state of tension that you've got your body into, and see where you can alleviate, see what you can do to make this more comfortable, more enjoyable. With the exhalation, yum, yum, yum. Don't overdo it, unwind, walk back up to the middle. Quite a strong posture. all the sitting postures are quite strong. So go, gently. Don't try and end game here. And try and give as much value to side 2 as we did to side 1. So sitting, I say sit evenly. To me, I don't feel even at all now. I feel positively asymmetric. It's quite interesting. Trying to have the head in the middle, the back of the neck empty, the shoulders quiet, the arms empty. Feeling okay, in the throat, in the tummy, chest. Just, and here I am sitting here on this floor right now. With a straight spine rotating, so that, and using the hand of what's going to be the right hand this time, putting the right hand slightly behind me so that I can turn to look at the right foot. And still sitting straight. Now, I want to get this left leg into play, and before I do that, I'm noticing that I've got quite a lot of tension in that leg now for some reason. So before I do anything, I'm going to release the left groin, left thigh, left knee. That's the key bit, actually. It's all closer to the torso. It's where the action is. One tends, unless you've got an injury, you don't tend to have problems with wrists and elbows and ankles and so forth. It tends to be groins. So then breathing down through the spine. I'm talking about exhaling. Exhaling, down through the spine, releasing the shoulders, releasing the throat, down to the spine, releasing the tummy, down through the spine into the empty buttocks, down through the spine, through the pelvis to the left leg, and feeling that left leg really connect and become part of the ground, almost as if the ground were opening, swallowing up the leg, or the leg was ivy and became just simply rooted in the ground. Whatever image works for you. In the old days, some of you will remember, a couple of you here will certainly remember, I taught logging off. In fact, it was in my very first version of my first book, but I got told off for it. Anyway, the story is that the back leg is a log, and it used to be attached to us, this tree, this main branch that we're leaning over. But it's now been cut off and it's lying next to us. This left leg was a part of us, and it's logged off and is lying heavily next to us. That's it. That's the image. I find it quite effective. As you breathe out, log off your back leg. Nothing to do with you, just there lying next to you. And to me, it has a tangible effect on releasing the muscles, enabling me to go further without angst. Okay, the right hand on the inside of the right leg. Lift up the left shoulder, so you're doing a bit of a twist here. And if you just want to put that left arm behind your back and open the shoulder, that's enough. You don't have to do this next bit if you can't reach easily, or you find it makes you tense, or just don't like it, don't do it, If you want to, the arm comes up, the left arm comes up to the ceiling, stretch, and then over towards the right toes, and you look up through at the ceiling and release all the muscles in the buttocks, all the muscles in the lower part of the body, all the muscles in the upper part of the body, flop, melt, enjoy. Smashing. One more breath. And then unwind, come out of the twist, and then come up. Well done. Oh, goodness me. Just time for a little floor twist. That took longer than I meant. So lie on the ground with get your blanket back near you. You might want to get dressed again. You might want a cushion for your head for this one. Lots of people like a cushion for this one. It's the floor twist. Most of you know it backwards. So lie on your back with your legs bent and your head on a cushion. One straight into focus if you know what you're doing, obviously. Otherwise, so lie, just hold your knees and rock a bit from side to side. Let your knees go a little bit further than your hips as you give your lower back a bit of a massage against the ground. It's very nice. And you can keep doing this as long as you jolly well like. It's a very nice thing to do. If you've got lower back problems, it's always a safe thing to do, and it can be very soothing. And then roll over all the way to one side. The other side, doesn't matter. One side first, we'll call this the first side. And then you put your lower arm out straight and then stroke with the top arm up the arm, across the body and down towards the other side. Now put the elbow on the ground behind you. And you can use the front hand, if it's comfortable, you can reach comfortably, you put the rest of the front hand on the top knee. Try not to have your head at too much of a weird angle. And see if you're able, now this is the beginning of the relaxation. There's no doing left. Oh, as you breathe out, release, let go, drop, fall, undo, do less. Watch your body respond to the safety of the ground by unspasming, unclutching, ungripping, undoing. Keeping the lips quietly, lightly shut, so all the breaths in and out is through the nostrils. You watch the cool air come in, not too fast, but some of you will naturally notice the air come in to the top lung. So the lung that's free is where you will expand quite clearly. You can use the palm of your hand if you can reach that easy, just so the back arm, the elbow's on the ground and the palm is lightly on your ribs. And as you breathe in, you can feel the ribs gently, slightly, quietly expand a teeny bit, not a lot, it's, it's subtle. And then as you breathe out, just let everything go. I mean, time off, guys. We've done all this work and now trust the ground, nothing to do, nothing to aim for, except to release, 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 release. Notice the moment at the end of the exhalation and see if you can settle for a moment before you receive the inhalation. So we're meditating on the breath. Just a couple more on this side. So really be completely present. The breath comes in, bridge of the nose, into the belly of the lung, into the side of the lung, into the back of the ribs, slight expansion, no tension. And then as you breathe out, yum, yum, ground, have me, I'm all yours, soft, lump, jelly, melt, settle. Including the head, by the way. Before you move, just notice and see if there's anything you can do to release. Just think about releasing tension in the neck and the jaws, and magic happens. You are so powerful. Okay, so if you've been doing this with knees bent, roll out it, lift up keeping your knees separate. Lift up the top knee, and then the back knee follows automatically and rolls straight over to the other side, so that the top knee now becomes the bottom knee. You might want to adjust your cushion. You might want to lift up your torso and put it down again, whatever. This back arm, you want the elbow to at least touch the ground. And it might be, it's always a good idea, I think, to have the palm resting lightly on the wrist, so you can feel the breathing. It just, it helps you. We sometimes do breathing exercises where we use pressure from this hand to direct the breath, which is very effective, actually. But not now. Now we're just keeping it very simple. First of all, dropping, falling. This is the beginning of, you can think of this, now you're in this position, as the beginning of Shavasana, beginning of the resting pose, the death pose, called the nothing to do pose. Nearly nothing to do. We still need our attention for the time being. So the mouth quietly shut, the breath, cool breath. Feel it on the inside of the nostrils, but watch the jaws and the shoulders and the throat as you breathe in. So particularly don't allow the upper body to become tense as you breathe in. As the breath goes through the neck and shut, that part of the body, it can set up tension. So try and avoid that as you breathe in. So I talk about breathing in directly from the bridge of the nose into the belly, bypassing everything in between. So it's also quite a soft, quite a quiet inhalation. And then the exhalation, oh, yum, 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 yum. Have me ground, I'm all yours. Floppy, melty, dropping. Oh, no trying, no doing. Just letting go with the out breath. As you breathe out, the muscles will naturally release. So enhance that effect just by having the idea that my muscles are all going to go soft as I breathe out. My muscles are all going to go soft and disappear and dissipate as I breathe out. And then witness yourself doing this. Watch yourself, watching yourself breathe. So just for the last couple of breaths, watch the breath come directly from the bridge of the nose into the hand where it's resting lightly on the ribs, or just into the ribs, or directly into the tummy. That's where it feels like it's going. And then as you breathe out, using the exhalation, and then the pause at the end of the exhalation, a little moment of extra, soft pleasure. Okay. And that really is resting time. So however you want to rest, with a bolster under your legs, or with blankets, or with legs straight or bent. But even when you're at home, it is important not to skip at least a rest, a period where you just don't do anything. You find a safe position for your body to be. Now, for most people, that is lying with your legs straight on your back on the ground. That isn't the case for everybody. Some people are not comfortable on their backs at all for all sorts of reasons. And I have had a long-term issue, which means that I feel safer with my knees bent. So we're living in our own bodies, aren't we? And the difference between what we're going to do now, and I am going to finally shut up in a moment, but the difference between what we do in Shavasana and all the other postures is that once you have satisfied yourself that your body is organized safely and reasonably symmetrically, then you can, and you might want to take the opportunity to also, before you drift off, release muscles. So you might want to just check that you're releasing your face or your shoulders or your buttocks or your knees. You might want to work through from head down to toes systematically, or you might just want to visit problem points. But once you've done all that, once you feel that you've released the muscle groups, including the inside of the whole of the skin, then you let yourself drift off. You rest the mind as well as the body. Thank you very much for coming today. I do appreciate it. If you have any comments or questions, particularly about anything actually, but I'd be particularly interested to hear your views on the meditation at the beginning. Yeah.